We just got a wealth of new information from Ali Brown, who is in charge of new technologies being implemented into the game, and this is coming from very lengthy posts on Spectrum, so shout out to Ali here for spending the time to talk to the community. And so on Spectrum, Ali tells us about the techs that are being currently worked on. He's currently working on ray tracing, which is required, of course, for complete and extensive graphical improvements around the game. He's also working on ray trace global illumination, which is also making some good progress, apparently. And they said that they have started using it actively in Squadron 42. However, he also says that there are still improvements required to several areas before it's ready for prime time. Ray traced reflections are also being worked on here. For this first version, they will use screen space colors for objects on screens and simplify material representations for objects off screen. Currently, there are some issues with noise and bubbliness to resolve. Character decals are also being worked, and we saw that a long time ago in Season Con 2023, right? Which also involved tattoos, but scars and wounds. The intention here is for it to be used by cinematics in Squadron 42, as well as the character customizer and also dynamic damage like weapon impacts. Vulkan is also being worked on. There are constant improvements required for performance and stability for Vulkan, but they are seeing some frequent new additions to enable new technology for optimizations there. Planetech V5 that we saw at the last season con, also known as Genesis now, which is a huge change to how they distribute all the contents of Planet, with the goal of much better visuals, performance, and provide more power to gameplay systems. And finally, they are also working on video memory. They are overhauling how video memory is budgeted to force developers to remain in budget, while giving players explicit control on how they allocate their video memory to each graphical effect. The end result should be better performance for everyone, as low video memory looks to be their number one on GPU performance issues. We also have an update on multi-threading here. They found that multi-threading the renderer has given a huge boost to the time of the render job. For example, they said that it's taking from 30 milliseconds to less than 10 milliseconds in a complex scene. However, they've also seen that the render job often isn't the bottleneck, so it's very context specific. It could be a scene plus hardware, for example. As to whether we would see some large benefit or at all, well, that really depends. The focus for Star Citizen recently on the code has been stability and quality of life, as we all know. Improvements to existing features, especially after the rollout of server meshing and the huge impact it's had on the game. As a result, the Star Citizen team hasn't been able to take a full new version of the engine in a while, because this would bring potential instability to slow down the quality of life improvements for players, and also this would likely prevent regular or timely releases, all of which are critical for continued engagement. Yes, we made a video about this a while ago, and looks like Ali is acknowledging that that's awesome. But the Squadron 42 team has also been testing Vulkan here, which is enabled by default for them, along with HDR and multi-threaded rendering. So hopefully most of the kinks are ironed out by the time they reach Star Citizen, though Ali says that he would not be able to predict when exactly that will be. His team is also considering changes internally that would allow the Star Citizen team to more easily take piecemeal updates to the engine into the live release in order to reduce the risk of instability for lower risk features or systems, as they are of course eager to get all the new shiny things into our hands as soon as possible without compromising the player experience. The graphics changes in the main branch include many stability and performance improvements for Vulkan, including multi-threading, HDR, shader optimization, and more. However, they are also intertwined with many other parts of the code base, such as wider rendering changes and profiling or memory management changes that touch every system. So the Vulkan changes can't trivially be integrated into Star Citizen with the rest. It would be possible to manually integrate just the renderer and then undo all the unrelated changes, but this would probably push back their overall schedule by several weeks and likely miss deadlines for Planetech V5, ray tracing, Squadron 42, etc. So normally they wait for Star Citizen to take the full main branch of development. So while a lot of work has gone into making the main branch of Vulkan faster and more stable, the rest of the main branch may not be, and the company needs to take careful judgment about when to integrate, how long to test, and how much risk they are prepared to introduce for each release. It's also worth noting that while Vulkan seems faster and more stable for them internally, the true test is always when it goes to the wider public, with a much broader mix of hardware, drivers, and software. Ali Brown finished by talking about landing cameras, which he says are quite difficult to implement. He says that he believes we don't want to have an actual camera for that, as it's really difficult to judge scale of things like a moon or featureless landing pads with just a grey picture. He says that some leader or depth or hollow render are vastly more useful at conveying distance and speed, and such an approach is pretty cheap to render apparently. So in that scenario, the renderer would not be the limiting factor and rather the game and UI implementation. Well, that's funny he mentions that because I also talked about landing radars a while back in the video a couple of days ago. Maybe he watches the channel, who knows. Anyway, a really interesting update here from Ali Brown. Shout out when the developers are going on Spectrum and answering the community. It's awesome, and it's all part of, not really, I would say transparency, but this interaction that we should have between us, the backers who make this game possible, and also the developers. If we can have some healthy feedback or back and forth discussions like that, I think that is something that would benefit the game greatly. That is all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm giving away a Misc Fortune this month, so make sure to subscribe and comment to any videos posted this month. 10 free entries are given to subscribers who comment. Free entries for all Patreon and YouTube members. So good luck to everyone out there. Big shout out to Dr. Fabian, Shadow Rise, Ducky2Ducker, and Zero Crusher. I have been Iran. I'll see you guys in the next one.